The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of Spaced Out Radio or Spaced Out Radio Limited is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced?
Stop right there!
From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
They let us play with all our toys. They let us think that we're big boys. They let us make the louder noise, but women rule the world. They let us think we're Superman.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on iTunes and TuneIn. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you. For you. I will stop till I reach the top just to be there with you.
Dave, oh Dave, are you playing with Bigfoot and aliens again?
Dad, you gotta stop haunting the ghost. It's scaring them.
All right, seriously, put down the pointy sticks.
Oh, the deeper I fall.
Okay! Game on! Game on! Game on!
The password is...
All right.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio. Mr. Bumblefoot, Dave is ready for liftoff.
I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you.
Seriously, Dave? Really? Aren't you a little old for a tinfoil hat?
Hiya! Toby! Bye-bye! Nephew! Bye-bye!
Griffin, please take your seat about way. We're at the entrance. It's time for pickup. Start. 2, 1. Boost to ignition and liftoff.
I'm such a lucky guy, 'cause after all this time, it's like the deeper I go, the deeper I fall. The deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and it's great to have you along for the ride on this Friday, December 8th, Saturday, December 9th. If you're on the East Coast or across the pond, hope you had a great day and night. We are live right here in the Great White North, on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, as we are here 7 nights a week for your listening needs. We welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live on Spreaker, KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas, the High Plains Talk Radio Network, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Like our music, get your horns up for Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy and Sons of Apollo. Bumblefoot is the official sound of SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, follow me at Dave Scott SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You go youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. That's where all our archives are now. Listen to us on iHeartRadio in the United States. TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download and subscribe to our shows on iTunes. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, we're still battling the hacker issue that we had a couple of days ago. We're hoping to get the website back up in just as quickly as possible. That's all I could say right now. It was an ugly, ugly job. But if you're interested, we have set up a GoFundMe account. All you have to do is go to gofundme.com/We Own the Night. I'm going to get more into that in hour number 3 and break it all down for you. And just stay tuned for that. We have 2 chat rooms for you to take part in if you want to get questions into the show for our tonight's guests. You can either sign into Spreaker or go into Facebook at the SOR Space Travelers group. Or if you're on Twitter, just use the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. I will connect with you there as well. This year, we've concentrated a lot on trying to figure out what Bigfoot really is. And the amount of theories out there is still quite astonishing. We seem no closer than what we were 50 years ago when we first saw the Patterson-Gimlin film. We've heard the crazy and we've heard the simple answers from those who believe it's a native animal to this continent to those who believe there's something a little bit more supernatural with this being. Tonight, we are proud to bring back Mike Johnson, who personally, I think, after interviewing so many of the top Bigfoot researchers around, Mike is one of the best, if not the best. Mike is an open-minded researcher coming at things from a little bit of a different angle. His work with Sasquatch Investigations of the Rockies in Colorado is nothing short of amazing. Years of research has built trust with these creatures, and Mike will break it all down for us for the next 2 hours of the show. Mike Johnson, it's been almost a year since we had you on the show. Great to have you back. How you been?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing very well. Very well. You know, I'm very excited to have the opportunity to chat with you because out of all the Sasquatch researchers that I have had on this program, there's only a couple that I think are doing it right, and I believe you're one of those names on that list right now. So thank you for keeping an open mind and trying to look at all possibilities of Sasquatch rather than trying to narrow down the field without any research.
I appreciate that. We keep an open mind and we listen to everybody and we go where the evidence takes us. So no preconceived notions here. We just go where it goes, and I think that's the best way.
I want to start off with this a little bit before we get into how your 2017 was for your research. There are so many different theories as to what Sasquatch is, and there's so many different ways people are investigating. How do you find a way that works for you?
Well, you know, I've been doing this for 30 years, and you go with what works, and you go with, you know, I've kind of changed things based on the situation. So as the situation has, you got to keep yourself fluid, and as the situation's changed, we've changed with it. You know, as we've learned things, we've adapted accordingly. So you can't keep a rigid way of doing things because it just doesn't work. And every group is different, and we have more than one group of Sasquatches that we're trying to connect with, and every group is different. It's kind of like people. You can't treat people all the same because they're all different. It's the same thing. So you have to be open-minded, and you have to go where the evidence, like I said, takes you. So.
And I think the reason why it works for you is, and I'm saying this from an outsider's point of view here, Mike, and please, if I'm overstepping my boundaries, let me know. But the one thing that I really find admirable about the way you research is you keep an open mind to everything. And we have heard so many different Sasquatch researchers come on this show who won't look into the supernatural side. They won't look into the, anything that isn't deemed as scientific. And why do you come about it at a different angle where you try and keep an open mind with everything? Because that's difficult to find in this field.
Well, like I said, you got to go where the evidence takes you. So I'm going to be frank. What that tells me is maybe they're not having that many experiences. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say this because somebody needs to say this. There's a lot of people in this field that have had very limited experiences. And limited experiences limits where you can take this. And that's part of the problem. I have a Bachelor of Science degree now, albeit it's business administration, but I still have a Bachelor of Science degree, and I graduated magna cum laude. And so I can be as scientific as anybody wants me to be. I could have been a scientist. That avenue was offered to me. But in my current job, I'm also an investigator. So you have to be open to all the possibilities. To be a good investigator, you have to be open to everything. You have to go where the evidence takes you. And that's, a lot of people are making that mistake. They're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and you can't do it. Obviously we're dealing with something that's difficult and unusual. If it wasn't, we'd be able to find it tomorrow. This is 2017. So you got to, if it's a simple ape we're dealing with, we should have found it a long time ago. There's plenty of people looking. There's scientists looking. So where's the disconnect? There's a disconnect here. You have to identify that there's a disconnect here. And you have to we have to bridge the gap to figure out what that disconnect is. Because obviously either current science isn't up to par with where we need to be with what we're investigating, or this entity or being is very intelligent, or something else is going on. So there's something unusual going on here. We can find a snow leopard, we can find the most elusive creatures on the planet, so why can't we find Bigfoot? Bigfoot's real. I've seen Bigfoot. So why can't we find Bigfoot? There's something else going on here that's outside the norm. And you have to realize and identify that first, or you're not going to get anywhere.
I'll give you an example. Is we hear this term, and it's really become popular the last 12 to 18 months, that a lot of Sasquatch researchers are calling everything woo-woo these days. And I got to tell you, every time, I know I bring it up, but every time I hear a researcher say that, it's like fingers down a chalkboard for me. Because it tells me that they're refusing to research, yet they have the nerve to hide behind the word science that they are conducting scientific investigation. Now, my point of science, and I could be totally wrong, this is just my opinion, is you can't eliminate something until you've researched the hell out of it and proven that it isn't a supernatural creature or it isn't, a Gigantopithecus. Do you see where I'm going with that?
No, I understand. And I think the perfect example, and I hope everybody on the radio goes and looks at this, black holes were identified in the 1700s by a mathematician and another man. But they weren't proven until recently. Okay? You can't touch a black hole. You can't see a black hole, but science accepts a black hole as being real. But they were first calculated and identified in the 1700s. So it took the science that long to catch up with black holes to identify that they're real and that they're theoretically correct. I kind of think that's what we're dealing with. So the science is behind. I appreciate more than most the scientific method, and I think it's okay to use it. But obviously, as an intelligent person, something else is going on here. If you can see a Sasquatch, and tons of people are, if you can photograph a Sasquatch like Bob Gimlin, then why can't we find it? So you know, I can find them. They're difficult to photograph. They don't like to be photographed. They know that it's not in their best interest. They're intelligent. And if you get over, you know, if you quit treating them like they're not, because I'll tell you what the problem is. Everything else that's out there obviously isn't as intelligent as they are. I mean, they're either non-existent or they're intelligent. There's no in between. Or we're incompetent. So where's the problem? You know, you have to accept it. You have to accept it for what it is. That's the reality of where we are. And having come face to face with one, I have no choice. So I mean, I'm not incompetent, and they're real. So it's not make believe. So I'm kind of stuck. So I have no choice in how I believe, you know, and how I interpret the Sasquatch. The Sasquatch is real. In fact, I've seen him more than once. So I have no choice.
Well, I have no choice either, because a few years ago I saw a pair, and later on we'll get into the gifting site that we have set up here, because we've put it in an area where we've had a couple of prints, you know, found. So we could get into that a little bit later on. But when it comes to research, what are most people missing out on? Is it tracking the prints? Is it finding the areas where they're traveling? Or is it just not being open-minded enough? And maybe it's that simple.
I love the story about Geronimo. Geronimo, it took years, it took decades to catch Geronimo. And finally, 5,000 U.S. troops captured Geronimo and his band of 150. What did Geronimo have that everybody else didn't have? He had superior knowledge of the land. He was willing to do whatever it took not to get caught. And, you know, we're not putting that kind of resources to bear on Bigfoot. So, you know, read the story of Geronimo. You know, and a lot of people tie Sasquatches to the Native American culture. It isn't a far stretch to, you know, they're told from very young age to keep away from us at all cost, and they probably learned that on their own. You know, you could argue that point. You could argue that angle, that, well, we couldn't catch Geronimo, and it took forever and ever, and then finally it took 5,000 men that were fully armed. So, you know, there's already precedence for that happening. And there's probably, you know, there's more than I thought there were. But, you know, they go in the places we don't want to go either. And that's a big, people are soft and they're not. People have gotten soft and they're not. We're evolving on two paths. We're getting softer and softer and softer, and they're evolving to be harder and harder and to be more elusive and to know the woods and all those things. Now, is the size of the woods creeping down on them? Oh, yeah. They're getting squeezed, but, you know, the forest is still a big place.
Well, especially when you're surrounded, like in the Rockies or up here in British Columbia, where, you know, you can't turn your head without seeing a forest somewhere. They are out there. They are creatures of the day and night wandering around. But when it comes to people who are researching this, Mike, are we trying too hard then in trying to prove a scientific existence of this creature rather than going with the facts we have? Because people are getting tired of fake videos. People are getting tired Blob Squatch photographs. They're just getting tired of it all. And realistically, you ask a lot of people, they'll say, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? And the minute the evidence is brought forward, that's fake. That's not real. Fake news, whatever you want to put. So are we damned if we do and damned if we don't?
Well, CGI has hurt. I'm not going to lie. I mean, CGI has hurt. So all you have to lean on, and more than any other thing that I've ever done in my life, you have to have a good reputation. If you don't have a good reputation and you blow your reputation up, your videos are all blown up as well. So, I mean, at SIR we have 13 researchers. We have 2 pictures. I'm going to put this into perspective for everybody. I have never gotten a picture because these are quick, fleeting moments, and when they happen, you're overtaken with the moment. It's not the first thing on your mind. That's what's so amazing about Patterson-Gimlin, is they did everything right. Okay? But you don't always do everything right. And even to this day, and I'll be honest with you, I've become more of an experiencer where I'm in it for the experience and to learn. And like I said, and I've spoke to you on previous shows, I'm looking for that long-term relationship where maybe down the line I can get that video willingly and they just give it to me, and maybe they want to come forward and just give it to me. But they're obviously not there yet. But, I mean, we're a pretty big organization with some very smart people with very good skills, and we got 2 pictures. So if you see somebody that's got hundreds of pictures, that's kind of a red flag, isn't it? I mean, and look at what the BFRO produces. The BFRO has 3,000 members. How many pictures have they produced, really? So, I mean, it's very telling. How many pictures has Dr. Meldrum produced? It's very telling what's real and what's not real. So, for me, the hoax versus non-hoax stuff, piece of cake. Piece of cake. The numbers don't lie.
What is quality evidence, then, in your opinion? Because
quality evidence is a good picture. We have 2 great pictures on our website. The problem is most people don't know what a Sasquatch looks like. They have no point of reference. All they have is Patty. And Sasquatches are like people. They don't all look like that. There's different places. There's different terrain. There's different parts of the country. There are different colors. There's some with red hair. There's some with white hair. All we have that people accept is one template. Now, see, I don't have that one template because I've seen more than one, but it's been hard. It's been hard. People aren't putting, and the other misnomer is that there's a lot of people looking. There's not that many people looking. We have 300 million people in the United States. How many people are really seriously looking? Not that many. How many people are looking in Canada? Not that many. How many people are funded to look? Not that many. So, I mean, are we shocked that we're not finding them? We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be.
So what is your advice for the amateur who goes out there wanting to take a look? What should they be looking for?
The reason I started SIR was a template for people to be able to learn on my watch. I have 30 years of experience, and you can use the website as a template. I was frustrated when I started. When I first came out, I was quiet and did it on my own, but I'd kind of hit a plateau and I wasn't moving forward. And so I went out and sought other people, and they moved me forward, and I appreciated it. But they weren't forward with their evidence, and they didn't want to answer questions and things like that. And so I started SIR, and I said, we're going to be as forward and as open as we can be with the evidence without making ourselves look stupid. And that's what I've tried to do. Everything on our website is everything that we found. Basically, what I do that's different from everybody else is I don't boss people around. I don't tell them how to look for Bigfoot. I just help them. I try to get people in SIR that I'm comfortable with, that have their own thing going already, and I just help move them forward. And if they have 2 years experience, I take my 30 years and I pile it on theirs, and we move them forward. And I try to move everybody forward as quickly as possible so we have all these things going. Because obviously the more things you have going, the better chance you have of getting a Patterson gambling shot, right? That's getting the next best thing. So, and it's where the Yellick's got that great photo as a result. Are you there?
I am. You went a little Darth Vader on us there for a moment.
Okay. So obviously it's working, because if you look at our website, other people are getting evidence. So it's working. It's just not working as fast as I'd hoped. But, the more I get into this, the more complicated I find that it is. And it's just going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to take resources. And, we're funding this stuff all out of our own pockets, so, it's just taking longer. And I'll be honest, we may not figure it out in our lifetimes. I'm 55 now. I've come to that realization. We'll just see where it ends.
Mike, I don't know if you moved into a different room or not, but every time you start talking, you go right into robot mode. I don't know what's causing that. Are you there, Mike?
You there?
Yeah, I'm going to try calling you right back, Mike, because I want to see if we can get a cleaner feed. We're going to try calling Mike back right now, because we definitely want to get a cleaner feed on that, because he has some incredible stories.
Please leave a message.
Well, that's not what we wanted. We definitely want Mike to tell some of his stories tonight, because they are so important. I mean, this guy, he doesn't go into the forest with any weaponry. He doesn't go in there. He goes with his team. I wonder if his phone died. I hope not. I only got the one number for him. But we're trying to effort to get Mike Johnson back on the show. And let me grab his website here for you here. It's, if you Google Sasquatch Investigations of the Rockies, that is his website. So, Sasquatch Investigations in the Rockies, but that's the website. So we're trying to, effort to get him back. Preacher putting in the chat room, Bigfoot, quit holding on to Mike's rabbit ears. That is funny. That is funny, Preacher. All right. So we're still efforting here. Apparently it's still going back to his voicemail. I don't think it was the feds on this one. I hope his phone didn't die. Because I really like talking Sasquatch. And Mike is one of the best out there when it comes to the research. Right? Let me see if we can do this here. Hello, Dave speaking. Oh, hey, Mike.
What's wrong with my phone?
All right.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I now have to try and blend these two calls here. Let's see if we can get that going. Are you there? Do we still got you, Mike? All right. Oh, I gotta love Skype. This is why I hate Skype. So what we're going to do here is we are going to give Mike a call back here. All of a sudden, this just turned into a crap show. All right. That's okay. So this is what we're going to do here. We're going to get Mike going here. Because I know what we're doing. I'm pretty sure here. I'm pretty sure we got this flowing now. Now we'll get things going. How's it going, Mike? All right. All right. I have to try and connect through my other studio here, Mike. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hang up with you and I'm going to call you right back on this line, okay?
Yeah, this is my cell. I don't know what happened. Both of my phones went dead.
Well, maybe it's the government. Let's just blame the government at this point in time.
You know what? They never have. So.
Well, it happens. It happens. All right, I'm gonna call you right back in 2 seconds here.
All right.
We're gonna get this sorted out. I swear. Yes. I swear we're gonna get this done. I wonder why his phone's died. That was his home line too. All right. Why is this not allowing me to call now? Hold on. Let's try this again here. This is why we're set up on a GoFundMe account. We're going to get into that a little bit later on. But this Skype crap literally has to end. This is the bane of my existence with this show. You have no idea how much it upsets me. But we'll get her going. We're going to get Mike back here, as you can hear the phone ringing right now.
All right.
There he is, the man, the myth, the Sasquatch legend.
Apparently I'm elusive to be on the phone tonight. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. You know, I like to blame Skype because I just do.
You want to know what's funny, Dave, is I have 2 landlines, and they're both fully charged, and they both died at the same time.
That's weird.
Yeah, maybe, oh well.
Maybe Sasquatch doesn't want us to be talking about him. And he's like, was messing around with his tinfoil hat and causing disturbance.
I don't know. All I know is I have dead phones, so I'm on my cell.
That's okay. Hopefully this one lasts. It should.
Yes, sir.
It should. I'm trying to figure out where we were here when we were talking about it. In regards to the research of your program and what you do in Colorado, why have you chosen, Mike, to keep a more open mind with your team? Because a lot of people try and focus it all down and break it all down into little pieces of minutia that you know, we don't know what we're really looking for. Yet you continue to have this broad band of it building off of the experience.
I've had enough strange experiences happen that I would consider unexplainable, that force you to do that. First off, when you come face to face truly with a Sasquatch, there you're slapped in the face with reality right there. I mean, you're looking at something that's not supposed to be real, that science doesn't accept and everybody's telling you is not real. So that's your first wake-up call. And some of the, you know, there's some things that can happen when they're around that don't fall in the normal genre of what science accepts right now. Let's just face it. We have a great program called Oma Wing that explores the what a lot of people call the sizzle and the zap. And it's a real phenomenon. I mean, I've been around it, and I've been around it. So it's a real phenomenon. If you watch this video that Tony Lombardo did, one of our researchers, I mean, Dr. Meldrum's on it, Kathy Strain's on it, Paul Graves is on it. A lot of researchers are on it. So the BFRO knows about it as well. They call it the sizzle. So, you know, everybody knows about it. It's there. We just don't try to hide it. You know, we accept it for what it is. Do I understand it? No. But is it a real phenomenon? Yes. So ignoring it doesn't help solve the problem.
Do you think a lot of these researchers, Mike, are afraid to put their reputation on the line because they don't want to be correct that Bigfoot may be a shapeshifter or an interdimensional species or something that they don't understand, and that's why they're hiding behind the entire scientific background?
I don't go there, Dave. I don't take it that far. Can Bigfoot do some things we can't do? Yes. I don't take it that far yet. But, yeah, I've had some weird things happen, no doubt. But, you know, I'm somewhere in between. I haven't had enough experiences happen that take me down that road yet. So, and I think some people, I get evidence from other people pretty heavily here in Colorado because people trust me. And I get some pretty strange photos. The hard part is with CGI these days, you can't always tell what's real or what's not. So I farm it out to a few people, have them review it, and they help me decipher that. So, yeah, I've seen some pretty strange things. One of the most common photos I get from outside of SIR is we'll get images where you can see through the entity, which is...
You still there, Mike?
Sorry, my son just came home from a hockey game.
Oh, good. Who won? Who won? We can stop a show to talk hockey. I'm okay with that.
All right. He came home from Colorado College and DU, so we have season tickets.
Oh, that's a big game.
So we're big. Yeah, we're big hockey fans here in Denver. So
don't blame you.
He went downstairs before I could ask, so I shoot him downstairs. So.
Oh, excellent, excellent. The only problem with college hockey is that they make the players wear the face shields. It's not like junior hockey up here where they just wear an eye shield and if you got to fight, you got to fight. That's the beauty of it.
DU recruits a lot of Canadian hockey players. DU has a fine program. We won the national championship last year. I've had season tickets for about 25 years. I love college hockey, and it's got great tradition here in Denver at DU. I've loved hockey for as long as I can remember. It's a great sport.
Hockey fighting is becoming that of Sasquatch, though. I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of that. But that's just me.
I understand.
That's just me, though. I can honestly say that. But let's get back to Sasquatch. I hear what you're saying, Mike, in that you're not buying into the whole interdimensional or shape-shifting thing, but I guess what I'm also hearing is you haven't ruled it out because you haven't been able to prove or disprove. Your personal belief says it isn't real, but you're not ruling it out. Yet with so many different researchers out there, they are ruling that out before they've even decided whether or not to research it. And I think that's a disservice to what many others are doing compared to what you're doing.
Well, let's just say this. I have friends that believe both ways. And I listen to all of them. I listen to all of them. You can learn something from everyone. To close your mind to one side or the other, you're missing half the equation. That's not good math. I mean, you're missing half the equation. You cannot do that in anything. You cannot do that in anything that's worthwhile as an investigator. You just can't. Now, I'm going to give you guys a perfect example of somebody that I think is really struggling with. Ron Moorhead has seen a lot of strange things. So he tried to write a book, Quantum Bigfoot, that fits everybody's needs. He's trying to quantify what he's seen in a scientific way. And if you've read that book, it's a great book. What it is it's a man's struggle that's seen things, a very intelligent man, a very successful man, that's seen things that he can't explain, and he's trying to quantify them in scientific terms. I respect that. I do. And everyone should. But everybody needs to read the book and understand where he's coming from. You have to walk a mile in a man's shoes before you judge a man. And I will tell you this, Ron Moorhead's had a lot of experiences I've had, so I understand where he's going and why he's trying to do that. And, it's admirable.
Do you think there should be more open-mindedness to this field then?
I think you can't have a closed mind in it, no. We don't know anything, hardly. I mean, I know more than most, and I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of people don't know very little. I mean, that's the problem there, is a lot of people know very little. So all they have to rely on is what other people are telling them, and it's confusing. It is confusing, and that's why I try to bring some sanity to the field, because there's obviously different ways of doing things. At the end of the day, success is how you should be measured. What do you got to show for what you're doing? I have a website full of evidence, full of pictures. I can tell you story after story. I've had experience after experience. What do you have to show for what you're doing? I mean, at the end of the day, that's how you should be measured. The other thing in this field that I've seen more than any other field I've ever been around is other people relying on other people's evidence. I've never seen a field where other people are relying so much on other people's evidence. It's the truth. We're not relying on other people's evidence, sir. We're going and getting it ourselves. There is no evidence from any other group on my website. It's all from Sir.
But this is a real copycat type field, though. People.
Well, you can't copy some of this stuff. Go look at our trail cam dilemma. You can't copy that stuff. You can't copy the Yellick's photo. You can't copy. People don't see. That's just it. They don't even know what Bigfoot really looks like. They can't copy it, and they're not copying it correctly most of the time. So for the person that's really there, sometimes I feel like I'm light years ahead of people, and I shouldn't be, because there's lots of people with as much experience. There's a lot of people with as much experience as me that aren't saying anything. They're keeping their evidence close to the vest, and that's another problem in this field. And like I said, that's why I started Sure. So some people could have a place to go and look, at what's really there.
So are we any closer after 2017 here in finding any new evidence towards what Sasquatch truly is?
I think so. I think the sum total of all the evidence speaks volumes. You just got to get through the horse hockey. You got to know what's real and what's not real. What's good and what's not good. See, that's the beauty of having 11 research locations. I can compare one group versus another, one evidence at one location versus another. Tree structures, a lot of people don't accept them. They're legitimate. Might there be some knuckleheads now out there making them? Maybe. But when we first started finding them, they didn't even know what they were. People were walking by them. Hunters were walking by them. They're legit. I've seen them in Utah. I've seen them in Wyoming. I've seen them in Colorado. I've seen them in places where very few people are going. And I don't want to hear this story from people, well, people are everywhere. Well, I got news for you. They're not. They're really not. There's places in Colorado I go, there hasn't been anybody for quite some time.
So in your opinion, and your opinion only, what is Bigfoot? What do you think it is?
Some type of a relic hominid. That's my guess. Intelligence like on our scale, just geared to their environment. They didn't come out of the forest, we did. They're still in it. So they're evolving in the forest, in their environment, to keep away from us, just like a mountain lion has evolved to keep away from us. The difference is a mountain lion doesn't have the intelligence of a Sasquatch, and therein lies the difference. A mountain lion is doing what it's hereditarily shown to do. A Sasquatch is thinking about avoiding you, just like Geronimo.
Why do you think they are trying to play or remain as the reigning hide-and-seek champions?
They're doing it for their livelihood. If you haven't been in the forest lately here, it's a pretty dangerous place. One of the places I've gone for 30 years is a pretty dangerous place. A man got shot by a campfire to the head by a shotgun by a recreational shooter recently. There's that much gunfire. So, they're seeing what we're doing. The thing that people don't think about Sasquatches is they're watching us at all times. When you're in their home, they're watching you from the forest. They're seeing what you're about and what your intentions are. And if I sit in the forest and I watch you by your campfire, I'm watching everything you do. I can learn pretty quick what you're about. And I can tell whether you're worth messing around with or I just need to flee. And most people who are recreational campers, I hate to say it, I need to flee from them, and they do. I have a saying in Surrey, if you act like a camper, you're just a camper. You're not a Bigfooter.
And that truly makes sense in regards to everything that you're saying, Mike. But you also feel that we are not dealing with a very stupid creature here. You know, we're not...
Oh, not at all. Not at all. We're dealing with a very intelligent, very, very intelligent. In fact, sometimes I feel like the idiot. It takes me a while to figure out what they're trying to tell me. One time they were leaving me rocks on a stump, and I couldn't figure out what they were trying to tell me. I put out the constellation Orion on a stump. Because, you know, what are you seeing at night? When you're out at night, what are you seeing? You're seeing things in the sky. You're seeing the big full moon. You're seeing the crescent moon. You're seeing the constellations. You're seeing the Big Dipper. You're seeing Orion. That's how you know time. That's how they know time. Constellation comes, guess what? Winter's coming. Northern Hemisphere, here comes Orion. Oh, Big Dipper's gone. It's the way we used to do it. That's the way they're doing it. And so, you know, you're looking at the sky. So I thought, you know what, I'll put out Orion. Well, they got rid of some of the rocks, and they put 3 and 2, 4 and 1. And I'm like, what? Because there's more rocks in Orion than... So they got rid of some rocks and left them. And they left them in certain sizes and patterns. I didn't figure it out till I saw the group. There's 5 in the group. They're trying to tell me there's 3 in one family, 2 in the other. We're all together. We're 5. There's 4, and there's 1 big guy. It was that simple. But I couldn't figure it out. So how smart is he? He can do the numbers. He can do the numbers. So that's pretty smart.
How do you think we miss so many potential sightings?
Well, they really do like the night better than the day. Do I think they're out in the day in the remotest places? Yes. But they don't like airplanes. So airplanes are pretty much everywhere. Even when I go to some of my remote places, airplanes are howling over at night and day. So they don't like that. The other thing is they really are more nocturnal. The most active times I'm finding is between about 2 and 6. Now, they're out in that. The best time to see a Sasquatch is in the morning, early in the morning at sunup till, and in some of my places, they'll stay out till 8 if it's remote. I got an old place, though, I call Central Colorado, starting to get overrun from people because Colorado's in a growth spurt, and they don't stay out in the morning like they used to, so they adapt. Some of my places that are way out in the middle of nowhere, I have one up by Steamboat. There's still not a lot of folks up there because it's 4 hours from Denver. They still stay out pretty late in the morning. They'll stay out till 8. And how do I know that? If you look at the trail cam dilemma, sometimes when we put trail cams up, they'll white out the trail cams, which I don't understand, but the trail cams will white out at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I know that they're still around.
Do you look at this creature as a friendly creature, a curious creature, or one that just wants to be left alone?
I think it depends on you. You know, if you go with bad intentions, they can have bad intentions, but they'll just try to scare you away. They're not going to try to hurt you. If anybody would have been hurt already, it would have been me. I mean, I've done everything wrong you can do wrong in 30 years. I've almost been run over by one, a big female one time. She almost ran over me, fleeing a flashlight that one of my investigators tried to shine on her. I mean, I felt her brush me as she was huge. She would have mowed me over. You know, we've made all kinds of mistakes. I don't want people to have that, but we learn. We learn. And I don't blame him for what he did. There was just him and I, and there was an intense night. A lot of things were going on, and they were wanting to come in. Well, when there's two of you and there's more than that of them, and they want to come in, are you really ready, ever ready for that? Are you really, truly, if you're being honest with yourself, really ready for that? Most people aren't. and he wasn't. And he tried to shine the flashlight so he could see it coming, and it just made things worse. So, but anyway, then the show was over. They all ran, and the show was over.
How fast are these creatures?
Ooh, fast enough to take down a deer or an elk. Fast enough to take down a deer and an elk. I think even a little faster, maybe.
So how come they can be that big, that fast, and for the most part move in silence?
You know, that's the one thing I don't understand, that I don't get, is how they're so quiet. Now, do they make mistakes? Yes. Most of the time when I've seen one, they made a mistake. They kicked a rock, they stepped on a stick, but they made a mistake. And that's the beauty of it. They do make mistakes. That also tells me, that's Patterson-Gimlin is a great, for me, I used to be a hunter, and I understand what happened in Patterson-Gimlin more than most. They were on horseback. If you ever have gone elk hunting, the elk will stop and turn and look at you when you're on horseback because they want to see what's on four legs, because they recognize the four legs. They hear the four legs. That's what they do. So they're looking to see what that is on four legs. They were on horses. So she stayed to look and see, is this something I can eat? She eats deer. She eats elk. Is this something I can eat? What is this? That's why she stayed. That's why they got the picture. That's why she stayed. And who's looking on horseback these days? Nobody. They recognize us two-footed creatures. It's the sound they make. You got to remember, we blow our ears with stereos. We blow our ears with headphones. We blow our ears out. They don't have any of those things. In fact, they rely on hearing and smell and sight to live. So theirs are pristine. And they have big ears, and they have big eyes, and they have big noses. So those senses are heightened way beyond us. So they don't miss anything.
Well, my partner Mark, him and I were out a few weeks ago, and we felt that we were surrounded by two. And we have to, in our area, go in armed because at that time of the year, not so much now, but at that time of the year, there was grizzly bears in the area, a lot of big cats, moose, wild horses, black bears. So Mark came in armed, but we let, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I before we go in, we say, look, if the Sasquatch are around here, this weapon is not for you. It is, we kind of try and make peace with everything. I don't know if it works or not, but it just feels like the right thing to do. And anyhow, we felt like we were actually surrounded by two of them. And it's an eerie feeling when you hear the thud of very loud footprints, kind of to get your attention to look that way. But you're looking the other way because your eyes and your mind and everything in your body tells you to look in a 180 direction. Have you ever had that happen before?
Well, they do that on purpose. They let one be loud so the other ones can flank you. So, yeah, no, that's... they also do, when they're stomping their feet, that means they're a little bit agitated. I mean, when they stomp their feet, they're a little bit agitated. What's weird is they can make the ground when they stomp their feet sound like they're stomping their feet, and you can hear it. It's bizarre.
Well, it was funny.
It never ceases to amaze me. I mean, when they want you to go, you should go. And I tell people that. Sometimes they just don't want you around. We don't know the reasons. It might be because they have a baby. It might be because something's going on in the family, somebody's sick. But, you have to respect what they're trying to tell you, and I do. And I think that's one thing that separates me when they don't want me around, they'll let me know and I go.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, Well, what was funny about that incident, Mike, is with Mark and I, we just stood there. And we kind of it was only like a thump, on the left side of us. But on the right side, I just kept looking to the right side. There was this path, this sightlines path, where I was looking down and wondering what the hell is down there. And it's funny, I said, come on, guys, I need a sign. And right from the area where I was looking, about 10 seconds later, nature's security alarm, a squirrel started chirping off right in that area where I was looking, where I thought the thing was. And Mark and I just started laughing. Mark's like, well, there's your answer. And it was just the most intriguing thing that we had gone through. We only have about 10 seconds here, 15 seconds before we're going to go to break here.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic, the work you're doing, my friend. And we're going to get more into your experiences in hour number 2, what you learned in 2017, some of your close encounters, and what people should do if they come across a Sasquatch, because I think it's important. And, of course, we're going to take the audience questions in hour number 2 as well. So all of you, prepare your questions. Make sure if you're in either of the chat rooms, put them in capital letters. We will get to it. We're talking Sasquatch all night here on Spaced Out Radio. Why? Well, because we can. Because it's a great creature. And we want to learn what it really is. Because everyone's seeing it. Well, not everyone, but people are seeing it. We'll talk more about the Sasquatch right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, it's Joe Roop, your host of Spaced Out Saturdays. Come join me as we explore the realms of the paranormal, the esoteric, and everything in between every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. You know the truth is out there. Don't get caught sleepwalking. Come join Spaced Out Saturdays. That's every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, right here on SpacedOutRadio.com.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at SpacedOutRadio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience. Cosmic Passport, heard Sundays at SpacedOutRadio.com.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at SpacedOutRadio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at SpacedOutRadio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At SpacedOutRadio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to SpacedOutRadio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over the Spaced Out Radio night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
There's a lot of strange going on in this world, and we can help you find out what's going on with you. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs in the sky, aliens in your bedroom tickling your toes. We have the investigators you need to find out the answers you deserve. All you have to do is head to spacedoutradio.com. Your information is 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report. It's free, and we're here to help.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our Advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. Tomorrow night, Spaced Out Saturdays. Joe Roop is back in the cabin while I am out finding Sasquatch with Bazooka Joe and Corey. We're going to try and find our Zen and our Chi while we're out there as well. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. Well, you can't really use our website right now because it is still hacked. We are working on getting it going, so go to Spreaker. And then on Sundays, Elizabeth Anglin's Spaced Out Sundays Cosmic Passport is on as well, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and over over 160 countries around the world. Good to have you with us as well. We are also live on TheFringe.fm, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. I got to take a deep breath for this one. This one's scary. Logarithmotechny. Logarithmotechny is your password. Be sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you could do so on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect live with me during the show as well. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also follow me on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. You can also check out our brand new YouTube channel. That's where we store our archives. It's youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And we're on iHeartRadio in the United States, TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download and subscribe to our shows on iTunes. Our website, when it's running, is spacedoutradio.com. Now, we usually have a plethora of features to go over, but considering the fact that we really don't have a website right now since it is down due to a hacking incident, I'm just going to say, follow us on Spreaker and social media right now. We also have a GoFundMe page going on right now, a campaign to try and upgrade our system here so we can get ready to go on terrestrial radio. It is GoFundMe.com/We Own the Night. We would love it if you could give us a hand. Tonight we are talking Bigfoot, Sasquatch. We're going into the Rocky Mountains from Sasquatch Investigations of the Rockies. Mike Johnson is joining us. I believe, personally, he is the premier Sasquatch investigator going in North America right now. Mike, welcome back.
Thank you.
Want to get to some questions from our audience here, if you don't mind. We're going to start off with Mark here. He is saying, even though he packs a gun for critters, is the rifle enough of a deterrent that they won't show up? Maybe the smell of oil on the rifle, the smell of burnt gunpowder. He read that you might go unarmed, but we up here have way more critters with a lot bigger teeth.
Yeah, I always tell people, just because I do it, Colorado lends itself where you can get away with it. And I'm adept in the forest. I've been camping for almost 40 years now, and I go by myself. So I'm adept at it, and I'm comfortable with it. But everybody has a different circumstance. And you guys have bigger predators, obviously. So, obviously grizzlies and wolves and things of that magnitude, you got to be cognizant of, and you got to do what you got to do. I just always tell people, just understand, they're assessing you as a threat when you come into their home. So the less threatening you are, the better chance you have of having a Sasquatch experience. Now, I've just made the personal choice after this long, and I've been around them a long time, that, I took a gun in a long time ago. I have guns. I have tons of guns. I took a gun in with me. I fell down 3 times, hurt myself, and that was after I saw a Sasquatch, and it took me 2 years to go back in. So I made a personal choice. I said, if he was going to hurt me, he would have already done it. He didn't. And so, it's a personal choice. But everybody, to each his own. To each his own.
Do you talk to them when you go in for voice recognition so they know it's you?
I have one group like I said, Colorado's growing, so the dynamics have changed here a little bit. I have one group that I'd roll down my windows and they'd whoop when I drive in. So if you think you're sneaking up on them, yeah, I got news for you. They recognize my truck. So they were watching for my truck and whooping as I drove in. So nobody gets into a Sasquatch's home territory without them knowing. They know where you are at all times. That's the other reason they don't make mistakes. They don't make mistakes because they're watching you.
you got to do me a favor, and I know I told you we weren't going to rehash any old stories, but you brought up the fact of your truck, and this reminded me of the story because our audience, since you were last on, has jumped tenfold. I would love it if you could share the story about your investigation partner and his ball cap.
Oh yeah, we have these really nice Sir ball caps, and everybody has them. And I have one I really like a lot, and it says Sir on it, and it's camo. It's a camo hat. And my co-founder, his name's Scott Barta, and we went up for, I think it was 3 nights. And Scott's kind of forgetful anyway. And, when you take down camp, you take everything. And so if you forgot something, which is rare, the only things I've ever forgotten is like a saw in a tree that I hung up that I probably shouldn't have hung in the tree or something like that. But normally, we get everything. And Scott really liked this hat a lot. And in fact, if you look on our website, he's wearing it. in his profile picture, he's wearing it. So we go ready to leave and everything, and we've been there for 3 days, and our hair, you want to wear your hair. We go into town, we eat at a nice restaurant. On the way out, we don't care what people think. And there's one place we like to eat, and he goes, I can't find my hat. I was like, oh, man, you lost your hat? I just gave it to you. So we looked around for it, and it wasn't anywhere to be found. And so I said, don't worry about it. I got another one at home. I'll give it to you. So we left and went up the next week. And there's 2 campsites where we are. We have one that we've kind of tucked back in the woods, but there's 2, and it's at the very end of a road, and then there's a gate. And I always drive all the way back to make sure nobody's there because one of them's a little bit farther in than we are. So I don't want anybody to know. I want to be there by myself. I want to take people out of the equation. And so we went and we checked the 2 other sites, and nobody was there. We drove down and nobody was there. Well, we're driving back, and we get where we turn off. And you got to understand, this is a little turnoff that we've made that where we're four-wheeling through the grass, through the forest, where nobody else is camping. And we get to the turnoff to turn, and his cap's sitting in the road. And he looks at me, and I look at him, because we'd already driven past this place to go to the end spot, and there it is sitting in the road. We're like, he goes, what are we dealing with? And I said, I don't know. I said, look and see if there's some hairs in it, see if they tried. Is what, so, but, yeah, they take things once in a while, but they return them. One time they took a toilet paper roll and ran through the forest with it until it was empty. It was a full roll, and it was everywhere. So,
do you think because of incidents like that with the toilet paper that they do have some sort of sense of humor?
Yeah, I've actually heard one laugh. I have actually heard a Sasquatch laugh, and this is going to freak people out a little bit. But I have a place where the sheep come through every year. A sheep herder brings through about 2,500 sheep, and it's a slaughter. And they know that the sheep are coming because they come every year, and the rancher expects 7% losses. Well, 2,500 herd, that's a lot of losses, right? So they just chalk it up to Mr. Coyote. They chalk it up to Mr. Mountain Lion. They chalk it up to everything else. Well, I got news for him. Mr. Sasquatch is taking his cut because I've heard him, and they were killing so many, they were enjoying it. I mean, think about it. When you're living off the land and it's easy pickings, I mean, the big guy was laughing. I could hear him, and it was ominous. It was creepy. And it was deep and guttural, but it sounded like a laugh to me. So, you have to remember your circumstance. Their circumstance is different than ours. They're living off the land. Sometimes times are hard. I mean, they're big predators. They eat a lot. Sometimes times get thin. So they take advantage of those things.
Another question here is from Gail, who is asking, Michael, how do you account for no physical remains nor evidence of Bigfoot being found?
You know, I'm going to make a really simple answer. If you throw intelligence on the Bigfoot, they're getting rid of their bones just like we are. They're getting rid of their bones. They care about themselves. They care about each other. They're not just lying dead in the forest. They're getting rid of them. In fact, I have a pretty good idea where one of my groups is getting rid of theirs, but they're in a boulder field. They're digging giant holes in a boulder field and moving boulders nobody can move. And it serves two purposes. They can get rodents out of the boulder field, and then they can put bodies in that. You know, there was one boulder, I'm guessing ton they moved. The hole's about 8 feet deep into the boulder field. What's moving a rock that's a ton? You can't get heavy equipment into the middle of the boulder field. So who's doing it? Has to be them. They're around. A good place to hide a body, isn't it? You know, when you have intelligence, everything changes. The entire quotient of what people are thinking changes. And so you have to think differently. And I do. I'm going to tell a story, and I hope Paul doesn't mind if I tell you this. I have a good friend up in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. His name is Paul, and he got a hold of us. He's a photographer, and he got a hold of us because he found his dog dug up a bone in the middle of nowhere, and it was giant. And it looked human, and he freaked out, and he turned it into the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office didn't return it. And he went out to get another bone, and the whole place had been excavated. So somebody came out and excavated the entire spot. So he shoots himself for not documenting the evidence, getting better photos of the evidence, but he didn't. He didn't think that would happen. And I think that happens a lot. People find stuff.
Do you think there is a government cover-up with Sasquatch?
I think they know, and I think it's in their best interest. They like managing what doesn't exist, and it's easy. So they're just playing the game. They do have a financial stake in Bigfoot not being real. I mean, if you look at the spotted owl debacle, Bigfoot would be... they're already thinking it's going to be a nightmare for them. You know, and I'll tell you what I think that would be the biggest concern for them from a national security is the safety issue. Is if Bigfoot's found and people think everybody thinks half the people think he's a monkey already, so obviously there's going to be a big giant safety concern right off the bat, national security safety concern. So do I think there's a government cover-up? No, but I think they like the way things are. I do. We've had some incidents. We've had some incidences and some roads closed that hadn't been closed in 30 years that conveniently closed when they found out we were there. So some closures have affected us, and they're just too many coincidences. So they know. We've actually heard a forest ranger talking into the forest and saying, "The Bigfoot people are looking for you. It's time to move on." So that forest ranger there thinks they understand English, which, if you think about it, if they're smart enough and they sit around enough campfires listening to us talk long enough, you know, they should pick up a few words.
What does the Sasquatch language sound like?
It's really, you know, it sounds like people talking in the distance when you hear it. It's hard to make out. It's really deep and low. We actually have a chunk of it in one of our recordings on our website, and it's in a staticky recording that's on our website, and you can hear it. It's like a 124 to 126, and I can't remember which recording it's on. But one thing I'm very proud of is our recordings, and I hope
everybody puts on some headphones and takes the time to look at them, listen to them. You're going to hear what you were talking about early on one of them, a run by. You're going to actually hear the Sasquatch run by my tent while I'm in it sleeping. You're going to hear it. Well, I wasn't sleeping. I was in my tent with my teeth chattering. But you're going to hear him run by. And I want to think about how many things you can hear in the forest on a quiet night that's that heavy run by. And you're going to hear it's bipedal. So you're going to actually hear that on one of our recordings. You're going to hear a whole bunch of stuff. You're going to hear the best wood knocks in the world. You're going to hear long sequence wood knocks where dumb people at SUR, one of them like starts and stops and starts and stops, and we don't know that we're supposed to respond. Plus, it was in March, and it was like 20 degrees out, and it was at 1:30 in the morning, and we were in the tent with the stove going, so we didn't know what to do. That was really the first time that happened. But we know what to do now.
What is your opinion on gifting sites?
Gifting sites you have to be very careful of. You have to make sure that you have Sasquatches first. If you don't, you're just feeding animals in the forest, which you're not supposed to do anyway. So a gifting site really comes from the Native Americans. The Native Americans believe that if you eat some, that you should save some off of your plate and give to the Sasquatch. And so you're just adhering to that, that relationship that's always been around. A lot of Native Americans do that. So, that's the spiritual aspect of Sasquatch in a way. That's a relationship that was forged long ago that if you do it properly can reap benefits. I mean, leaving donuts on a log, that's just randomly, that's not cutting it. And that's not what we do. We make sure there's Sasquatches there before we even go down that path. And then we start small. We start with, fruit and things. But I will tell you this, Sasquatches won't eat what they don't know. We've left corn on the cob here, and they don't know what it is because it's not up in the high elevations, and they won't eat it. So, even if they trust it.
We have put a gifting site up here that is no food. We've, in talking to Butch Witkowski and Edie Kaito, who you know, we have placed in an area some bright-colored Hot Wheels cars to try and grab attention. And we placed a couple of slinkies, and then on the ground we've placed like glass marble type rocks. And we haven't had any of the cars move that couldn't be explained, but the rocks on the ground have shifted position. And one of the times we had the rocks set in, like if you look at a pair of dice, the number 5 has all 4 corners and 1 in the middle. Well, 2 of the rocks from that 5 were moved 4 inches over in the exact same space in between, about 2.5 inches.
Interesting.
Yeah, but something like that, how do we know at something like that it isn't rabbits, it isn't squirrels, it isn't porcupines or mice or pack rats or whatever?
You don't. So you have to wait for the thing that there's no other way, like the hat, like the 3 and 2 and the 4 and 1. Let me tell you another story. My son, he's gone with me since he was about 12. He's 18 now. But I just started taking him when I was out when he was 12. And he got upset one trip because they kind of scared him when he was younger. I'm not going to lie. It did happen. It kind of scared him a little bit, but he got over it, and they knew they upset him. And he didn't have any toys with him at all. None. And this is the way a Sasquatch thinks. In this area, there's other campers around once in a while, and they leave things. Well, the next day on my truck, on the hood was a truck. But it only had 3 wheels. It was broken. So that's how a Sasquatch thinks. They know he's a boy and he plays with trucks, but they don't know that the truck only has 3 wheels and it needs 4 to work right. And they were just trying, I think, to make him happy because obviously they'd seen other kids play with the truck and it made them happy. So, I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, I make of it just like what I said. They upset him. He was upset for a little bit. and they tried to make amends. So, and you know what? The truck, we laughed, we chuckled. I still have it. It's a little green truck with 3 wheels on it. And, you know, just chalk it up as another great experience. And now, you know, my son, you know, he's grown up with that group. That group's kind of splintered now, but he's seen them a lot. That's one thing that's different about me. I've taken all my kids, and all my kids have had Sasquatch experiences. Either have seen them or had them right around them, and they know. So all my kids are believers. So I'm changing the world one person at a time. So,
how often are you getting interaction when you go to your sites? Because technically you don't have a gifting site, but you're using the same site over and over and over again.
Well, I have a gifting site at my Central Colorado location, and it was very active for a long time, but that group splintered, and I don't know why. I suspect I know why. Something's happened to the older female. I don't know what, but she doesn't appear to be there. So the three have left, but they've left me a mark to show where they've gone. I just haven't had time to investigate because it takes a while to find them. But they left me a mark to show where they've gone. So, and what's interesting is there were tree structures there for the 5. They've been destroyed. And the one big male, he seems to be wandering around at night by himself, like he's lost, just like people. So it's a bizarre situation. I just haven't had the time to spend there to find out what's going on. And they're not there this time of year. They go somewhere else I don't know in the winter. So, you know, but I had a great gifting site there. They would eat every time. In fact, I could take the food down, walk up, I'd let them eat, and they would let me walk down amongst the eye shine. Their eyes would be shining around me and people could watch. Other researchers would watch. I wouldn't let them go down. Now, Robin Roberts was down there with me one time, and one brushed up against her. So, I mean, this was a place that we had that very few other researchers have ever experienced. I mean, it was ongoing for years. We just didn't push the envelope. We were so happy to be getting what we were getting. And I can't explain how empowering it is and how awesome it is to know that you can go there and that will happen. And it was happening a lot. So it would happen every night we'd go there. So, I've seen probably more eye shine than anyone because of that place. And the big one, it would always go in the same place in a position behind a little rocky outcropping in a big tree where he was protected, but he always had his eyes on you. And the other ones did all the dirty work. And there was a young male, and he did all the dirty work. So,
now, when you say dirty work, what do you mean by that?
Get the play, take all the risk. The most athletic one in the group put himself most at risk, which, if you think about it, that's what we do. We send our young guys off in the military. You send the best you got, and that's what they did.
Question from
it. Quicker, faster, leaner. If you want to get food, you want to get in and out of there quickly. But it got to the point where it didn't matter anymore. So, anyway.
Question from Adam here. He is asking, do we know if there's anything on record of a Sasquatch killing a person and possibly hiding the body because of all of these cold cases where we see people disappearing in the mountains?
I used to be afraid, just like everyone else. I'm not anymore. If they were going to hurt me, they would have hurt me already. I always tell people, with the Sasquatches, you get what you come with. So if you come with problem, you might get a problem. But I'll tell you this, they know they can scare you away without doing anything anyway, and they can throw a rock like no other. So they don't have to do anything like that at all. So do I think they're doing those things? There might be a stray occasion where something happens. They got carried away, but they don't have to, so why would they? And if they really wanted to kill people, there'd be a lot more people dead. Because we're nothing. In the woods, we're vulnerable. I don't care what kind of gun you think you got. It ain't going to do you any good with a Sasquatch.
Eric is asking, have you ever thought about leaving a Rubik's Cube for them?
I have not, and that's a great idea. My grandson was playing with one the other day, and the thought crossed my mind. But that's a great idea, to see what they could do with it. You know what's weird is some things they won't take, some things they won't touch, some things they like. Little rocks, they like the penny. We've left a whole myriad of things over the years, and some things they like, some things they don't like. What will they give you back? We've gotten a piece of pine tar that looked like amber that was hard. We've gotten round rocks. I probably have the biggest collection of gifts from a Sasquatch rock-wise as anybody. A lot of triangles, a lot of round rocks, because they'll leave them right where you're going to find them. They'll leave them on your truck. They'll leave them right in the middle of the road we have like a sandy gravel road where there's no rocks in it, but just sand, and they'll leave it right in the middle. So, and they'll have footprints by it to confirm that they left it. So, I've got probably 20 or 30 things they've given me over the 30 years. I had a Central Colorado group is a very intelligent, very active group. And I will say this, since they've splintered, I think the female was the brains behind the group because they're doing less. They're doing less. So, and she seems to be gone. So do I think in Sasquatch groups there's one that maybe is more dominant, just like in our groups? Yes. And that appears to be the case in that instance. But, yeah, we're always open for new suggestions and ideas, and we try new things, and we try to keep it interesting, because I think that's important, to try to keep it interesting.
You mentioned something earlier that during the winter you don't see as much activity. Do you believe then that your group is migratory, or all Sasquatch are potentially migratory?
Here their primary food source is American or Rocky Mountain elk, and they're moving up and down the vertical column with the elk. So the elk are moving. Well, this place is at about 9,500 feet. The elk are up generally. They're there in the summer to a certain degree, but they move up and down the vertical column here with the animals. So as the winter comes here, we have 14,000-foot peaks here. They will move into the lower valleys, and I'm going to give everybody a little tip here that I've kind of figured out. They like the northern slopes in the summertime here, like the southern slopes in the winter. Why is that? Southern slopes, the snow melts. You don't leave as many prints. And it's warm. And the rocks warm up. If you're sleeping on a rock, which they do sleep on a rock a lot, it warms up.
I have so many questions for you here, my friend, because are you saying, so when you're in the forest and you're out looking for these creatures, they may actually come in behind you and place rocks on top of your vehicle? Yeah. And Robin and I were at our Central Colorado location one time, and we were going to I always grill out, because then they can smell the food. So you set the table for what's going to happen. So we always grill on the fire and have a big grill, and I'll cook steaks and potatoes and corn on the cob on the fire. So the corn doesn't burn. You put it in the water. The first time we did it, what was so interesting is she did it on the back tailgate of my truck, and she covered it up with a wet towel so it would stay moist. Because we don't take a ton of water, and we're kind of saving it. And we came back, and there were footprints up in the dirt, and the towel was off. There were 14-inch footprints, and the towel was off the water. We were only gone an hour, so the Sasquatches were right there. So they wanted to see what we were doing. How long are
They don't do that anymore.
How long are your expeditions? So if you're just going up for the day, is it maybe a couple of hours, or are you going sunrise to sunset, or are you camping out there all night?
Longest night time I've spent out in the woods is 12 days. Longest by myself, 5 days. But yeah, I'll go for day trips, but most of the time I try to spend the night. And the reason being is the witching hours between 2 and 6. Well, come home, you're going to be missing the witching hour. So most Sasquatches that go out during the day aren't even around when they're most active.
What do
you got to go when they're out.
Define the witching hour, if you don't mind.
The time that they're most active, when they get up, whenever that is, and I don't know exactly, but if they get up when it's first starting to get dark at dusk, and we do get a lot of activity right at dusk, so that's when I suspect that they get up. They sleep during the day wherever they go, and it's random. It changes because I've come up on a couple of times them sleeping, and it's random. It's not the same place every night. And but anyway, they're around at dusk a lot, especially in the winter when it gets darker earlier. But the best time for them to be around, and the hardest time for us, is 2 to 6. So, and what they do is that, just like, what do you do when you first get up? You look for something to eat. Well, they're hungry when they get up, so they're looking for something to eat. So they're not coming to you first. They're going and doing what they do, and then they're coming to you as the last thing that they do. And most of the time, you know, that's like 6. Most of the time, most of us are snoring at 5 or 6. You know, we have early risers and Sur that get up at 5, but I make them try to stay in bed because you know, even if they're awake, I say, just sit in the tent and listen and you'll hear stuff. And it works.
Yeah, because I never would have thought that time is important. You know, it's the forest. Animals are always on the move. I would have never thought that between 2 and 6 would be active. What about at night, if this is more of a nocturnal creature?
It depends. When you're first engaging them, they'll be there the whole night. When they got the photo that we have on our website, Scott and I were out there like 2 days later for a 3-nighter with Jeff and Teresa, and things were going on all night. As soon as dusk, all night. As soon as we went to bed, things were getting thrown at the tent, slapping the truck. They were active all night, but that's because we were new and interesting. And I always tell people, Sasquatches don't like to be found. So they're kind of, when you first find a group, they're kind of agitated, because they know that we know, because we're doing things that they know we know. So they'll slap the truck. They'll do things, you know, that are a little bit, they'll do run-bys, they'll stomp. I got one group that crows, like crows in the middle of the night, and you talk about a weird thing. If that don't freak you out, when there's deep voices coming up behind you in the tent and crowing like a crow in a Sasquatch voice, most people are leaving on that one, I guarantee you. But I didn't. And that's the other thing. You know, I stay. No matter how hot and heavy or how thick it gets, I stay. I've never left.
How important is it, Mike, to stand your ground? I'm not saying in a brave aspect, but I'm saying just so you're not showing fear in front of them if by chance you think they are watching you or, you know, making vocal noises around you even though you can't see them.
I have a great spot in the Collegiate Peaks in Colorado, and we were there for like 5 days, and there was a big group of us because I wanted everybody to have an experience, and most of us did. But I had an extra day off, and I have an older researcher. His name's Dave Hockey, and he had a camper at the time on the back of his truck, and I had my outfitter's tent. Well, we had multiple people sleeping in the tent early in the week, but then all of a sudden I find I'm the only one left, and he's in the camper that's about 30 yards away. Well, they know who the leaders are and who aren't, so they didn't bother Dave much. But man, they tried to scare me away, and there was like at least 4 or 5 of them. And I don't stake down my tent because we usually sleep by the sides of it because we would encourage them to try to touch us and poke us through the tent. And they were lifting up the sides of the tent, crowing like crows, stomping their feet, doing anything to try to scare me. And I'm not going to lie, they did. I got my cot up, which was at the back of the tent against the wall, and put it right in the middle of the tent. And this tent is 14 by 16. And I just there's a couple times I just pulled the bag over my head and I said, is this really happening? But it was. And they kept it up for about 2 hours. And, you know, I will say I did this. When I left, I stood out because there's a little open meadow, and in my loudest voice, I said, "Look, you tried to scare me." I said, "It didn't work. I'm coming back." I did do that. And I come back, and it hadn't happened since. So.
Elizabeth has a question here for you. She says, Michael, the group that she hung around on the Compadre Plateau?
Yeah, Compadre Plateau.
It seemed to change ranges when the eldest male died. They got a new leader from a neighboring group, and he changed their migration range. But Elizabeth's gut feeling is that he changed the range to test who was going to follow them and who was not. What do you think about that?
You know, each group is different, and you have to feel out your own group, but that makes a lot of sense. He may also change their range because the animals change their patterns. I mean, there was a few years that my Central Colorado group didn't come back, but I figured out why pretty early. They'd eaten everything. I mean, the deer were gone. There wasn't any elk around. There wasn't any sign of it. Now, those places where we are here, there's a big, giant area that repopulates the area pretty well, but some years it's lean, you know, and there just wasn't anything to eat. Now, they generally won't eat everything because there's turkeys there, and they're constantly there, and they love turkeys. You find them exploded all over the place. The other thing is they'll keep the other predators out. You won't find much sign of the other predators when they're around. They'll keep them out because they got kids just like we keep predators out. So when you're actually around Sasquatches, if you're comfortable with them, you're, you know, and you get this relationship working, you're actually pretty dang safe because you got the apex predator. And if the apex predator ain't bugging you, you can't get much safer than that.
Do you feel then that with the migratory ways that they are doing and following deer and following elk and the food sources, do you think that they are more nomadic then, and rather than, you know, staying in one place at all the time? Because it seems if they continue to stay at the same locations, that there's a better chance of them getting found.
I've studied the Pikes Peak region for about 30 years. So I know the Pikes Peak region as good or as well as anyone. And the groups seem to need about 20 square miles by 20 square miles. So, or a 20 by 20 mile area. And they'll move within that territory, but they can cover that whole territory in a day. So, and they'll have borders with other families where they, you know, they'll do incursions into the other area, but not for very long. So, you know, you got to understand, some places there's other family groups. So moving around nomadic isn't as easy as you think. There's some places that you can't do that. So they stay within their territories pretty well. But that's a big area. And you got to remember here there's a lot of vertical to it. So it even means that there's more area, really, if you take into account the verticality.
Let's get to Tripp's question. He is asking, why make noise to confirm they are there instead of going away quietly?
Say that again?
Why are the Sasquatch making noise to confirm that they are there instead of maybe disappearing into the forest quietly so no one sees them?
If they know that you know that they're there, you got to understand we're doing things that they know we know they're there. So then they're going to the next thing, try to scare us away if it's a new group. If it's not a new group, then they're not doing that. Like when I drive my truck in with the old group, they're whooping, which is a friendly call. So it just depends on the circumstance. One group I had that didn't like to be found would throw rocks at us from a distance. I mean, big rocks, launch them right into our camp. But they never hit us. They got close once in a while, but they never hit us. But the throws were so accurate, I knew that they could. So, you know, they know what to do to get rid of you if they want to get rid of you. I think for most people, they just flee. they just hide and you never even see them or know that they're there. The difference is we know they're there.
In the forest, there are so many different predators out there, you know, from bears to mountain lions and moose to elk and deer. I mean, they're all dangerous creatures, never mind wolves and coyotes and any type of badger. When Sasquatch owns a territory, are there other animals using that territory as well? Because up here, where we have grizzly bears, I think it would be one hell of a fight to see a grizzly bear and Sasquatch go at it over territorial markings.
Bears will hibernate in their area, but as soon as they wake up, they'll leave. We had one pretty good-sized Bruin we saw one March, and we were walking up the road, and we saw him, and he stood up and he ran. But, you know, as soon as he saw anything on 2 feet, he was out of there. And I saw him one more time about half a mile away, and we never saw him again. So he was hibernating. He woke up in March, and he took off. So do they pass through? Yes. I'm not saying they're not in there once in a while. What I'm saying is the Sasquatches will make a concerted effort to get rid of them. I mean, I've heard a mountain lion before. We have one location that I've heard the mountain lion got in there, and they weren't having any of it. And they chased the mountain lion. The mountain lion was screaming for miles.
So they are very territorial when it comes to other animals.
I think especially when they have young ones. If they think it's a threat, and obviously they think a big cat's a threat, yes. But we don't have wolves here, really, per se. I mean, I think we have a few, but officially we don't. Coyotes, they don't mind coyotes because coyotes clean up their mess. The coyotes, there's three things that are always around when a Sasquatch is around: crows, coyotes, and Sasquatches.
Maybe squirrels.
And squirrels.
Do you ever
What's weird about... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What's weird about squirrels is they don't kill them. They don't eat them. They don't kill them. And we've thought about this in our camp a lot. They're a warning system for everybody.
Well,
and that's a handy thing.
And that's what I was going to ask. I mean, like that time Mark and I were out, that squirrel tipped us off to where I was looking because there was something there, right? So
yeah.
So I can't see Sasquatch being too happy or pleased that there's a couple of, you know, chubby white guys hanging out in the forest and this squirrel is tipping them off, you know, where they're hiding.
So, Dave, where you are, what's normal squirrel behavior? Running up a tree? Away from you?
Yes.
Okay, when the Yellicks got their photo, it was in September. And what was weird is and Jeff and I talked about this, none of the squirrels in the area were eaten at all. I mean, there was a ton of them. And they were collecting mushrooms, which I'd never seen that before, but maybe somebody else had. But they were putting them in the trees, in the little trees about 8 to 10 feet tall. Tons of them. I mean, it was like a Christmas tree of mushrooms. And I was like, what are they doing? I mean, and the squirrels are not picking the ones that are poisonous, so they kill them. And it just seemed kind of strange. And I was walking, so I walked up to the tree where the squirrel was with the mushrooms in it, and he came to the end of one of the end of the branches and was right in front of my face like he wasn't afraid of me. And I was like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Is there some kind of a relationship going on here? And if you look at that picture Jeff has, it's the most human-looking one we have. So it just makes me wonder. It just makes me wonder. It was the weirdest experience. I've never had it in my 30-plus years in the forest, and the Sasquatches were right there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. That's one of those weird experiences that you just wonder if it ties together. I don't know. I don't have any proof of it. Haven't happened before. Hasn't happened since. Only at that place.
Mike, we only have about 7 minutes left with you tonight. Maybe tell us the top 2-3 stories of your investigations this year that you had encounters or great evidence with.
My favorite thing that happened this year that I'd never seen before at Jeff Yellick's location up in remote northern Colorado in the middle of nowhere. He has a location in a box canyon where there's some old mines. And there's Sasquatches there, no problem. And we think we found evidence of plant collection, which I have never seen. There's a boulder field there that the water flows clean out of the bottom of it, and the plants grow really well. And we found arrowleaf, coltsfoot, and Missouri goldenrod collected in about 8 piles. And they were on rocks, on a stump, on a log. They were neatly collected. There wasn't anybody else there. There was one other campsite, but they left and the piles remained. So we know they didn't collect them. Nobody collected them. But that's because we found them. The other thing that was interesting is there was some raw logs rolled over. Now, I've seen a ton of where bears, roll logs over and rip things up looking for stuff or rodents and stuff. They weren't ripped up at all. They were just rolled over. And sometimes in some of my Sasquatch locations, the Sasquatches will roll the logs over looking for rodents and worms. They like worms a lot here. So I'm pretty confident it was the Sasquatches collecting the plants, which if you look at those 2 plants and they have medicinal values. So, that was a huge one for me this year.
That's a great story. Hey, have you ever seen bark ripped off a tree at about 10, 12 feet high?
I will tell people this. We're looking for this. It happens in Missouri. Shane Carpenter's our researcher in Missouri, and it's happening at one of my locations in southern Colorado. The Sasquatches are breaking open the logs and eating the inside that's wet. It has something. They're eating it for some reason. We don't know why, but they are.
Because where we have our Sasquatch gifting site is right at the base of this tree, where Mark actually noticed at about 10, 12 feet high that the bark has been ripped off. Yet there are no claw marks to signify that it would be a bear or a porcupine or something along those lines, or a woodpecker. There's no holes in it to be a woodpecker or anything like that. It's the strangest thing.
Looking for insects. I always tell everybody, a juvenile Sasquatch is down on all fours. Just like our kids can't walk, they can't walk. So they're down on all fours. So what's the first thing they're eating?
Bugs.
Insects.
Yeah.
So what do they get used to and like? They develop the taste for them for their entire life. So what do I think's happening there? So you got Sasquatches in the area. He's found a place where there's some bugs underneath and he's a big one. He's a big guy. He's found a place where there's probably some bugs underneath the bark, and he's just having something he's used to eating his whole life.
So that's a sign, is to look for trees with bark ripped off, because the logical explanation up here is that it's porcupines.
Well, and it could be. There's other things that do these things as well. So that's why you've got to make sure you got Sasquatches first. I tell all of my researchers that every time. You don't leave out a gifting plate. You don't do all these things until you know they're there. Until you find some footprints, you find a handprint on your truck, you hear them talking, you have a concrete, you get wood knocks back, and they do it to you. So you have a concrete situation where you can confirm you got Sasquatches. You got to do that. You have to. Otherwise, you're just guessing, just like you don't want to be guessing, right?
What's your next favorite story from 2017?
Oh, gosh. Quite a few. I'm not going to... I'm going to tell people that my next favorite story from 2017 is I got to go to Bob Gimlin's birthday, his private birthday party in Willow Creek, California. There was about 30 people. So this is the 50th anniversary of Patterson Gimlin, and I got to sit down and talk with Bob Gimlin. I mean, you know, he's an icon, and you know, just to be around the man, get a feel for a man. I went down and I walked in Bluff Creek and went and looked at the place, and just got a feel for the whole ambiance of it. And I have no doubt, you know, I seen the male version of Patty anyway, but you know, it was just for somebody that's done this as long as I have. It was just an overwhelming experience to get to do that.
Mike, we're down to about our final minute here. I would love it if you could maybe take the time to tell people what they can find on your website and the website address.
Website is www.sasquatchinvestigations.org. You're going to find it broken down into evidence, and we also have things on there that are like oddities of things. So we address everything that we found in a certain way. We have great footprints. If you listen to the audios, I love the audios. One of my favorite things, put the headphones on, listen to the audios. They'll change your life. Look at the pictures of the Bigfoots that we have. We take before and afters. The footprints are really good, and the tree structures are really good. Everything's really good as far as I'm concerned, but I'm kind of biased.
Well, of course. Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure you joining us tonight, breaking down your year of 2017 in the field of Sasquatch. All the best over the Christmas season to you and your family.
Thank you, Dave. Always a pleasure. I love coming on here, so ask me again. I'll do it whenever you need.
Oh, you always have the invite. You know that. Mike Johnson, Sasquatch Investigations of the Rockies. In my opinion, like I said, this is the guy who's doing it right. This is the guy who, if you're in the mountains thinking about going to hunt for Sasquatch, go to his website, Sasquatch Investigations of the Rockies. All you got to do is Google it. Go right there and learn from the best. Right there. That's my opinion. Hopefully it has some weight. Coming up in hour number 3 from thefringe.fm, Joe Roop from Space Out Saturdays is going to join us here momentarily. We'll talk to you right after the break.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
There's stories, then there's the truth. Do any of us really trust the news anymore? This is Jamie Sexton, owner of Rebel Planet News. The third Thursday of every month, I appear on SpacedOutRadio.com to bring you the truth you deserve, without mainstream media lies or alternative media fear-mongering. We'll get to the heart of the story and deliver the truth you're seeking. So come join us here for the Rebel Planet at SpacedOutRadio.com.
We're lighting the void on Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, this is Joe Roop, and I'm hanging out in SOR headquarters every Saturday night, bringing you the latest news when it comes to the weird and strange. Bigfoot, occult, UFOs, ghosts, and everything in between, I got you covered. You can tune in to SpacedOutRadio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Come travel into the void with us on Spaced Out Saturdays.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on SpacedOutRadio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hi there. I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories. From alien encounters to the latest conspiracies, you won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
There's a lot of strange going on in this world, and we can help you find out what's going on with you. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs in the sky, aliens in your bedroom tickling your toes. We have the investigators you need to find out the answers you deserve. All you have to do is head to spacedoutradio.com. Your information is 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines report. It's free, and we're here to help.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories.
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio. And on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Spaced Out Saturdays tomorrow night with Joseph Roop, and then on Sundays, Elizabeth Anglin with Spaced Out Sundays Cosmic Passport. Both shows get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com, which is down, so you got to go over to Spreaker or thefringe.fm to tune them both in. It's going to be great shows indeed, unless you're listening on the UPRN network or WQEE. It's going to be a great weekend of programming while I am out searching for Sasquatch with Bazooka Joe and Corey. That's what we're going to be doing. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and over 160 countries around the world. Great to have you with us as well. We are also live on thefringe.fm, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas. And if you're looking in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Logarithmotechny. Logarithmotechny is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect live with me during the show as well. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also chat with us live during the show on Facebook at the SOR Space Travelers Group. We're on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. We have our brand new YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio. So all you have to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio to connect there. It would be wonderful if you did. And we're on iHeartRadio in the United States. TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download and subscribe to our shows on iTunes. Our website, when it is running, is spacedoutradio.com. Now, usually we have a plethora of features to go over with you. However, since our site is down and being rebuilt due to being hacked earlier this week, we're just going to say just stand on tight. We would appreciate that. We're talking with Joe Roop from Spaced Out Saturdays and the Fringe.fm here in hour number 3. Joe, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem, buddy. Not a problem. So, I just want to let our audience know what we started as of last night. After the show, I put together a GoFundMe page. And before you say, man, isn't he going to talk ghosts or Bigfoot or continue on, I just want you to hear me out on this if you don't mind, because I will get to it with Joe. We started a GoFundMe page because we are in need of upgrading our system here on Spaced Out Radio, so that way we can make an easier transition into the terrestrial radio market. I'm blown away. We put a $5,000 Canadian level on that, because that's pretty much what the gear is going to cost. Now, normally I'm not one to ask for any type of handout or anything like that. But we are so close. We are so close that I finally buckled in and said, you know what? I would really appreciate it if you, the audience, could play a role on there. And we do have some packages that we have put together just in case you would like to donate and go from there. I'm not sitting here, you know, the biggest thing that I am having an issue with is I've never been a beggar. I've always kind of done this show on my own with my own bank account. But we are so close to breaking through. And Amy Martin from Amy on the Radio, who is working with us behind the scenes to try and get this show picked up, has talked to a number of program directors from around the United States that she knows. Some in big markets, some in syndication markets, some in smaller markets. And they love this show. They think it's going to be great. However, we have an internet radio sound. We don't have a broadcast quality sound. Now, if you want to know the difference I want you to listen to the way my voice sounds, and then when Joe comes on, listen to his sound. His sound is much more smooth, it's crisp. So I finally buckled, and I created a GoFundMe page last night. And so far we've had 5 donations, and I want to publicly thank Bill, Kevin, Andrew, Mark, and Ryan for helping us on out. It's got our set of our goal, and we're now trending in the right direction to keep that going. What we're trying to do here is we are trying to upgrade our system here so that way we can get picked up on syndication. And you have no idea how much I want to do that. You have no idea how much I want to do that. And the reason why is I don't really want to go back to my daytime job. This is a full-time job. Spaced Out Radio is a full-time job. And I want to be able to continue to bring the best that I possibly can to you guys. And in order to do that, the one thing that I've always been very upfront with is that I want to take this show to the next level. I want to own the night, and I want all of you to be a part of that process. And that's why we continue to be very audience interactive. We continue to, love the opinions that you guys have on this show. We love the fact that you guys are able to have some fun and be an absolute part of this. And like I said, I struggled with the idea of putting a GoFundMe page together because I really didn't know how it would go. And I didn't know whether or not, and I struggled, and I was talking with a couple of people about it, and I struggled with the idea on whether or not I thought it was a good idea. But if we want to take this show to that next level where we are, moving more towards terrestrial radio, this is what we need to do in order to get there. Because, although there are no guarantees, we are having a lot of interest from people who would love to pick up this show. However, they can't pick up an internet-type feed. They need to be able to pick up a proper feed in order to cover the show. And in order to do that, there are certain things that we need to pick up. And I can tell you guys point blank that 100% of the money that is donated is going straight into SOR headquarters here. And that includes new microphones, proper cables, a mixing board, a machine that's called a codec, which will help us create a satellite signal that people can, or radio stations can pick up the feed off of, so that way they get that clear, concise feed. So, if you have an extra 25 cents, if you have an extra $1, if you have an extra $10, whatever it may be, I want you to know that it all helps. It all helps out, and it's all going back to the cause. I'm not doing this for me because, frankly, it isn't about me. It's about the show and getting more people attuned to the show. Because the one thing that I have heard from all of you guys, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on, Facebook, other social media avenues, or in the chat rooms, or people messaging me privately, is that everybody who has found this show has been yearning for that change of pace, that new voice in the night. So we made it easy for you. If you could help us out, we're going to go the distance and see how far we can take this. So our GoFundMe page, if you're looking for it or if you're interested in doing it, it is gofundme.com/weownthenight. So that's, once again, gofundme.com/weownthenight. And even if you aren't able to help out on a financial level, the support that you can show that I would be extremely appreciative of is share the topic. Because maybe, I mean, you know how social media works. There are certain people who don't get things, right? There are certain people who are out there who are like with Facebook, you only see 7% of your friends on your Facebook profile. You don't see, if you have 1,000 people, that means you're only seeing 70. Right? So it's a little ridiculous. And so if you could, even share, if you don't have the ability to donate and help the cause, just share it. Just share it. That's all I ask. And if you can, I want you to know how humbly appreciative I am for that. And we've put some really cool packages out there, and we're hoping to get you guys more involved. So, I often struggle with the idea on whether or not this is charity or whether or not this is the right thing to do. I'm sheepishly saying right now I believe it is the right thing to do. And I hope all of you can help us get on board, because literally we are oh so close to being able to make that run into terrestrial radio. And we want to make it easier for you guys. We want to make it easier for you guys to listen. So if you're in St. Louis, you can drive in your car and listen. You don't have to log off the show. You can listen in your car. Same as if you're in Toronto or Tampa Bay, Florida. We're going for the markets. So we'd really appreciate if you had the ability to help us out, whether that is for donation or whether that's just sharing it on your profile. If people say, hey, what's this about? You're a fan. You know what it's about. You have the ability to do that. So I would really appreciate it if you guys could join Bill, Kevin, Andrew, Mark, and Ryan, who I, humbly thank you guys, for doing that. If you guys could take the time to, help us out. Because the one thing that I struggle with, if I could say this, is working 16, 18 hours a day, which I did for the first 2.5 years of this show, almost 3 years of this show. It's very hard to be able to produce the absolute best that I can for you guys, working my daytime career and then having to, maybe spend an hour with family before going into the studio to start working the night. I would love to be able to be doing this full-time and concentrating on you guys full-time. So if you have the opportunity to do so, I've put it on Twitter, I've put it on Facebook, on all of our groups and pages. It's GoFundMe.com/We Own the Night. I would really appreciate it. Like I said, 50 cents, $1, $10, whatever it is. Don't break the bank. I don't want you to ruin Christmas. I know it's a tough month to be starting this because it is Christmas. Unfortunately, it's one of those catch-22s that we are in right now that we kind of have to, do. But hopefully we could do that. So thanks for hearing me out on this. I think it's important. I want to bring the best to you guys, and that includes, every now and again, we all have to ask for help from people, and this is why I'm helping or I'm asking our awesome audience to see if you guys have the ability to help us out as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me on that. I really do appreciate it. Joe, how you doing?
Yeah, it's a great speech, brother.
Well,
great speech.
Thank you.
Go help the cause. Hey, man, don't, you can be humble about it. You're almost a little too humble. Here, I know a guy, man, that's on YouTube that does a YouTube show, and all he does is guilt trip his audience into donating for him every single show, and he makes about $2-3 grand a month just doing that. He spends half his show doing that. I don't think I've ever heard you ask for any help from your audience ever, so I can't wait to hear you on terrestrial radio. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. It's going to happen.
Thank you. And if you're listening in, you hear the difference between Joe's audio and voice and mine. It sounds, with his microphone and his setup, it sounds a little bit more professional, and that's kind of where we have to get, and, it's great. We want to get on those terrestrial stations for you guys at night. We do. We want to make it easier for you. However, before you start hitting up your radio stations and hitting up everything else, we want to make sure they understand that we need that technology in order to deliver, because the last thing that Amy Martin needs to do is start shopping around our show and saying, yeah, but we don't have the technology to do it. And it's very, very complicated. I just want to answer one question. The Champ is asking, will Spaced Out Radio still be on Spreaker? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. We will keep it on Spreaker. So
yeah, those old program directors, they're sticklers.
Absolutely,
they are. They may love everything about you, but if it's not as easy as pushing a button for them, a lot of times they won't do it. It's just kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do what you got to do, though.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough one for me. So it's very, very difficult for me to come to this decision. Very difficult for me to come to this decision, because I'm still not sure that I believe that we can hit that level. I talk to the listeners. There's not a lot of money out there right now. And when you include Christmas on top of it, and people are stressing about Christmas, God, you could just imagine what's going through my mind right now in regards to everything. Driving me nuts right now. It really is. But we need to be able to make a run. We need to be able to get our name out there. It's not like you just show up at a radio station and say, hey, I know you're playing infomercials or 50s rock music, but I have a show for you. Put me on. It just doesn't work that way. We have to be able to sell them on absolutely everything. We have to. We don't have a choice. That's just the way it works. And, when we have all our ducks in a row, we need to be able to, make sure that everybody there understands, and they're being at those terrestrial radio stations, understands that we're a player here. We want to be a player, and unfortunately, the equipment costs are probably going to be around $4,000 to $5,000 Canadian. So we need to be able to get into that market, and I'll be honest with you, I'm like all of you. I don't have the money for it right now. If I did, I sure as hell wouldn't be putting a GoFundMe page together, because I don't think that would be fair. But, I'm also hopeful that you guys understand where we're trying to go with everything, and that we're able to, create some momentum with this, and I'm reading Gail's comment here. She says, look at it this way. You are giving all of us a chance to be a part of building Spaced Out Radio. That is a great opportunity. Thank you for that, Gail. I really appreciate that comment. Because I love doing this. And believe it or not, there is really nothing more that I want to do. There's nothing more that I want to do than this right now, Joe, what I'm doing.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing when you know where you're going.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Absolutely. But there's also a brutal reality to it. And it's a long game. It's a dangerous game. And I'm going to tell you right now, just because we get the technology doesn't mean that we are going to be picked up. You know?
Yeah, but Dave, look, man, you love radio. You love it to the point where you study the craft so much. You care about the listener so much that you study the craft, is what I'm trying to say, of radio. There are lots of people out there that are doing podcasts and all kinds of different things that believe in the heart of hearts that if they just get on and start talking, that they're going to be the next Art Bell or whatever. And it doesn't work that way. You're actually one of the people that you study the craft. You care about what the audience wants. You interact with them. There's so many people on terrestrial right now that don't do that. And I'm not going to name any names, but some of them just, they'll talk at you for 5 minutes and then you get 13 minutes of advertisement. You know, and that's all they do. You want to bring back the old school nostalgia of late night radio. And that's what everybody loves, and that's what everybody misses. I have no doubt that your audience is going to get behind you on this.
I hope so. And like I said, it's a humble thing to have to do. It really is a humble thing on what you have to do. And like I said, I'm fighting it in between myself right now because I am, you know, I never thought I would have to go down this road. You know?
I got, listen, I don't know how you feel about it, but I've got heat in this studio right now because of some listeners. And, you know, your listeners love you, man. They'll do what they can for you. I'm sure they will.
Going over to Twitter, Deb says, I think it's a great idea. I'm going to donate. We own the night. Thank you, Deb. John says, dude, it's all good. This is a good show, and you're simply asking us to be more a part of it. It's all good. If you want to help out, here's the link. And he retweeted the link. Thank you. Muji Boy, help SOR own the night. He retweeted the link. Really appreciate that. Seriously, I do. Like, that's all I ask, you know, and it is absolutely fantastic, you know, and like I said, I want to bring this thing, man, coast to coast on both sides of the border. And the one thing that I want the audience to know about me is I'm a very loyal dude. And, like, I care. And I think a lot of you have seen that. And, you know, I want to make sure that this isn't a fly-by-night, because eventually, you know, if I got to work 2 jobs again, I can only do that for so long. You know, but I'm guaranteeing you this. If I have to work 2 jobs in order to make this thing go until it launches or until people say, yeah, we're just not interested, we'll make that decision when that happens. But for right now, I am all in. I am committed to this. My family is committed to this. You know, I have an amazing family and a great group of friends who are backing me like anything on this, you know, in order to make it go. Because the one thing that a lot of people don't see is how much happens behind the scenes, Joe. I mean, you know it. You have your own network. There is so much more that happens than just the listening product that goes on the air. And there are days where you're literally breaking down, crying, wondering why you're even wasting the time, even though it's not a waste of time. But that's what goes through your mind. You would agree with that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. You know, and most people don't understand that it's just their ears listening. But on your end, you know, if something goes wrong or if something's not right, everybody's going to be messaging you. Everybody's going to be like, my phone blows up 9 million times a day because of things like that. You can't really, and honest to God, folks, you can't work a full-time job and do what Dave's trying to do. You can't. I mean, you can for a while, but eventually it's you're going to have to cross that bridge.
So anyways, I'm hopeful and I'm thankful that you guys gave me an opportunity to kind of do something a little bit selfish here, if we can call it that. And,
it ain't selfish, man.
Well, you know what? I'm still not convinced of that. But, I want to give this an honest shot. And I believe that all of you out there who listen to this show on a nightly basis, and there's about over 140,000 of you out there, I hope you go to GoFundMe.com/We Own the Night and help us out, because we are that close. We are that close. We have people who want to pick us up, but we need the technology to do so. So the sooner we can get picked up, the sooner we can start doing this full time, and that way we can make Spaced Out Radio be one of those shows in the night that is confirmed. It's going to be there. It's going to be absolutely everywhere. And we're going to make it happen. So I appreciate that. It's tough, man. It's tough, but that's what we got to do. And, I guess I'm going around in circles now, so I might as well just shut up. But nonetheless,
I think it's because you're a little worried about I can tell you're a little worried about asking for help, because you just don't do that. I mean, you're a great guy, Dave. It's not going to be a problem. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to happen.
Well, we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. We're going to give it a hearty try, and hopefully, we can make it happen, because the sooner we get that gear, we're going to set it up. We're going to make it a lot of fun, man. We're going to make it a lot of fun. And, we're going to make sure that everybody is mentioned who donates. We're going to make sure, we got some really cool packages there. So, for instance, if you donate $50, I'll send you a Spaced Out Radio poster along with some stickers. If you donate $100, I'm going to invite you to be a part of our SOR roundtable along with the posters and stickers. If you donate more than $100, hell, I'll let you host a show with me. How about that?
Ooh, that's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody's going to jump on that pretty quick.
I'd be curious.
To see who it is, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes. But, it's, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not have some fun? Why not have some fun?
Hey, I got to say, that night that you did the anniversary night, I was all tuckered out and pretty much passed out and missed it. I was listening to that show in my dreams. I could hear everybody calling in while I was dreaming. I remember the dream and everything.
Weird.
And it was yeah, man. But it was probably one of the coolest late night shows I ever heard. Just you guys having fun, playing a little Bumblefoot in the background, listening to all these people that I see in the chat room calling in. It felt so bad that I missed it. It was so bittersweet.
Mm-hmm. What's funny is, maybe I shouldn't mention this on the air, but we had this one listener who said that I was ripping another show on the air that night. I
don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember it either, but apparently I was ripping another show host that night whom I've never talked to and I've never met, who is on at the same time as I am. Maybe replaced a legend. That's as far as I'll go with that. But this person felt it was his duty to go into the Spaced Out Radio group and say, because I had no class and I apparently ripped this other host, which I really don't think I did, because that's really not what I'm about, that he was no longer listening to the show. So I messaged him privately, and I said, dude, what are you doing? I said, everybody who listens to my show knows that, A, I don't do that, and B, that if you got an issue with me, please feel free. If you don't like something about the show, if you don't like something about the show, let me know. I'll change it. I'm pretty easy that way. I'm pretty easy going.
Yeah, you are, for sure.
Hey, I want to get to Anthony's comment here. Anthony on Twitter says, I've been a listener only 3 months, and you're so refreshing compared to the old alternatives, and you're committed, Dave. We're behind you. I am a tattoo artist. Rock on. Where are you? I'll come get some ink from you. I need some new ink. It's been like, oh, shoot, how long has it been since I got tattooed last? Well, my daughter's 18. It's been 18 years. I am due. He says, I'm a tattoo artist. Unlike TV would lead you to believe we aren't rich, but I got you. $10. It's all good. Thank you so much. And he goes, hashtag we own the night. Thank you so much, Anthony. Let me know where you are. If I'm in your town, I'll come get inked by you, man, because I need a new tattoo. Actually, I need a lot more than just one.
You ought to do something like that if you reach your goal, you know? You ought to.
I want a big We Own the Night. Big We Own the Night with Carl.
There you go.
Surrounding Carl. How about that? Christopher's showing some love by retweeting the GoFundMe page on Twitter. Thank you so much. Joe, who I'm going to look for Sasquatch tomorrow, Bazooka Joe. Thanks, Mark. He goes, we need more gnomes on the show, Dave. No, we don't need any gnome tattoos. We don't need more gnomes on this show. And no, I'm not putting a gnome on my body. I just will not. You know? So I just won't do it. I just won't do it. So, anyways, before we move on, I want to tell you, for the next few weeks, okay, I don't want you guys to get sick of it. And Anthony's in Connecticut. So, if I ever make my way to Connecticut, or New York City, man, I will make sure that I come see you for a tattoo. Hey, and hit me up privately if you've got a website or a Facebook page. I want to see your work. I want to see your work. So hit me up, Anthony. Thank you so much. You know, and Les is saying, I'll donate if you don't get a tattoo, or yes, you will get a gnome haunting you full time. Thanks, Les. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. But anyways, I do want to let you guys know, I am going to be mentioning over the next few weeks until we either get close or hit our goal of 5,000 Canadian dollars, right? Which I believe, let's say you wanted to donate $100 and you're in the United States, it equals out to $78 American because of the dollar value of the Canadian dollar compared to the American. So we're about 22 cents per dollar lower. But I do want to remind you that I am going to be mentioning this. Please don't get sick of me mentioning it or anything along those lines, because I really want to hit this goal. The quicker, the better. But I'm going to be mentioning it on the air quite a bit over the next little bit. So forgive me as I try and telethon myself and this show a little bit, you know. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm sheepish, man. I'm sheepish.
It's going to be great.
Oh, well.
I can't wait, man.
We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. So, I appreciate that. So, what do you think of Bigfoot? You going to come Bigfooting with us, or do they have Bigfoot down there in Arkansas?
Well, we've got some activity at Board Camp Crystal Mine where we got some branches that are curved and tied up about 12 foot or higher in the air, and they got levitating crystals and rocks falling and they're saying there's Bigfoot here. So I might go out there in a couple of weeks to check it out.
Wow, that would be interesting. That would be really interesting to see that happen, man. Have fun. Be safe out there, man. We're going tomorrow morning to check on our gifting site. And
what do you give for gifts?
From what I have heard from Butch Witkowski, Edie Kaito, is bright objects, like hang a CD in the trees, or tomorrow we're going to bring some like real shiny Christmas decorations that we can hang in the tree. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like maybe an ornament or something.
Yeah. So we're going to hit up a few of those areas and bring some new stuff in there tomorrow. Right now, we have about 5 Hot Wheels cars out there, like bright green, bright yellow, and bright red. And then we have a couple of kids' plastic slinkies that are hanging from tree branches, but they don't seem to move. Right now, the only thing that seems to be moving is the rocks the glass rocks we have on the ground. But I mean, that could be anything. You know what I'm saying? That could be. And I pause because as I'm scrolling through the Space Travelers, I see Joe Allgaier has put a giant gnome picture on there that he caught on his trail cam. Oh, I hate those garden gnomes. But nonetheless, we're hoping to see some action because it seems like whatever it is out there, and it could be rabbits, it could be mice, it could be rats, porcupines, rabbits, deer, whatever it is that's moving these little glass rocks that we got on the ground, it's very interesting because the rocks aren't leaving the area. They're just moving to different parts where other rocks are.
See, man, that's what's happening in Mena. They've got it on film where rocks are moving around. They've got that sounds legit. If they're doing it like musical chairs, pretty much, just moving stuff around.
Yeah, and it's funny because the last time we were out there a couple weeks ago, one of the rock. How do you put it? One of the rock things that we put on the ground was like two eyes and a happy face. Well, the corner rock from the happy face was found over by a triangle, one of the tips of the triangle that we saw. So it had two rocks as a tip instead of one. Previous to that, you know, as you guys heard me mention to Mike Johnson on the air, we had, like on a dice, you got the number 5. Two of those rocks out of the number 5 shape were the exact same distance apart, except both of them had been moved about 4 inches over.
How big are the rocks? Are they like pretty heavy?
No, they're light. Like we push them into the ground, and the beautiful part about it is, with the ground now being frozen, they're stuck.
Gotcha.
Right? They're stuck.
So have you guys found any footprints or nests or hair samples or anything out there?
Not recently. I mean, in that area, we have had 2 prints in and around that area, but we kind of moved the gifting site off to the side from where the one print was found. You know, because we didn't want to, you know, just in case hunters or somebody go in there, we didn't want to, you know, affect anywhere that maybe hunters go. Even though there's, you know, the only footprints we're seeing in there are our own. So that's kind of what we're going through right now. But I think it's very interesting, very cool on what is happening. So, you know, we're going to go out there again tomorrow morning, check it on out, and see how it goes. You know, hopefully there's more movement.
I heard your guest talking about the witching hour, and I was wondering the same thing, what he was describing as the witching hour. I thought that was like 3 a.m. to maybe 3 to 6, you know.
That's more paranormal. That's more paranormal. But, I mean, in the cryptid world, I mean, what we're going to be doing, like Mark and I have talked about it, what we're going to be doing here come summertime, you know, is we're going to be, you know, spending some nights out there. Is instead of going in, you know, at an early time, is to make sure that we are going in there at a nighttime to see if we can get the tree knockings, to see if we can get the movement or the rustling or maybe even some of the sounds that a lot of people are listening to and hearing, right? Because I would like to see that. I would love to be a part of that. And
I'd like to see your reaction.
Oh, it would be great. It would be great. The problem is this area here is so bloody dangerous, right? That's part of the problem. This area is hugely dangerous.
How do you mean?
Well, I mean, at any time, we could run into wolves or cougars or lynx or bears, grizzly bears, black bears, wolverines, badgers. You know, thank God there's no feral pigs.
Taking a gun?
Well, Mark. Yeah, Mark's my armed man. He's the bodyguard.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He's my Kevin Costner.
My thing is, though, Dave, is I'm already thinking about it right now. It's 35 degrees here, and I'm freezing. I'm freezing, man. How cold is it there right now?
Oh, right now. It's chilly tonight. I'll give it to you in Celsius here.
I don't know how you guys do that stuff. I couldn't. Canada is such a beautiful country, but I couldn't live there. I got to be honest with you.
Well, you have to grow some good hair. That's why we always compliment a good beard, right? You have to be able to grow some good hair, and you just chop yours off. You don't think about that.
That's not entirely true.
No, I think it is.
I got some pretty good length going.
It's -4 degrees here Celsius, which I believe is 24 degrees Fahrenheit right now.
Yeah, I'm out. And that's pretty much, it gets colder than that for you guys there.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
it does.
This is child's play right now. This is absolute child's play. Tomorrow's high is 3 degrees Celsius. Oh, this is nothing yet. You know, you got to wait until it gets cold, man. This isn't even cold. This you can take. This you can take.
Hey, if I did come to Canada, I'm curious, and I get to the border. How gruesome is it to get into Canada? I mean, is it rough, or is it as bad as people say?
Leave your guns at the border. Don't even bring them. That's where a lot of Americans get into the biggest trouble at the border is they think that they can just bring their guns across the border. Now, there's a lot of American people who come hunting up here, and you got to register them and make sure that they fall under the Canadian firearms, and you got the right permits and everything along those lines. But on the flip side, it's pretty simple. It really is pretty simple as long as you kind of play by, the rules, which is, act like a Canadian.
Yeah, but don't they run your credit and stuff, though?
No.
That's what I heard.
Oh, somebody's feeding you a bunch
Not your
of BS.
credit, I'm sorry. Your criminal background and all that.
Not really. Not really. I don't know. I mean, if they suspect that you might have some issues with you, they may look at your criminal record, and see like that. But no, not every time. No.
Okay. Well, I'd love to visit. I've just got into when I was younger, is all.
Oh, I don't think that would be a problem. You might have to go get it erased or whatever, but that's just the way it is. You bad boy.
I don't really think that. You know what, Dave, though? You might not want me to come up there. I probably would just complain the whole time. Who wants a guy that's sitting there complaining about how cold it is the whole time?
Yeah, but it's warm. It's warm in summer. If you come in summertime, it's warm.
Right. What's warm, though, to you?
Warm? Up here, it can get to 100 degrees.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I was just blowing things out of proportion.
Yeah. Yeah. Just get your passport. That's all they ask. They'll run your passport. You'll be fine.
I've got this crazy idea that Canada is like some other place in the world or something. Like it's not that far away, actually.
No. Just make the drive. Yeah. Les is like, oh, yeah, never miss the opportunity for some beard love. Les, you got to get over your beard phobia, man. You got to get over the beard phobia.
I can't grow one. I mean, it's almost shameful to say. I can grow a mustache or goatee. I can't grow a beard. I don't know why.
Maybe you need to go like a Power Tom Selleck mustache.
Oh, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Maybe that's what you need to do.
Just the mustache? Yeah.
Why not?
That's a good idea.
Why not? Why not? Just go for the mustache.
Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Great show.
That's what you need to do, man. Go for the mustache. That's what I would do. So anyways, do you think that when it comes to Sasquatch, do you think we're looking in the wrong places from what you've learned?
Well, ever since I joined the Spaced Out radio team, I've really been digging into the Sasquatch thing, and it's going to sound out there, but after talking to the people in Mena, I think that it's not that we're looking in the wrong places. and I'm going to say if, and some of you guys are going to go, oh, how dare you? But I'm going to say if Sasquatch is real, then I believe that Sasquatch is as an interdimensional being. I don't think they're hiding as good as people think they can hide. I think they're moving in and out of realms or something, man. Gotta be.
I like to believe that too. You know, I think there is something supernatural about them. I'm still convinced over it. But I'm just not sure whether or not we have enough evidence to prove that. I mean, we can think that all we want. We totally can think that all we want. But until we get out there and you know, find some solid research, it's kind of hard to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but every story I've ever heard about Sasquatch, there's always some extreme supernatural activity, whether people see lights in the sky, UFOs, orbs, floating rocks, things falling out of the sky, things that break the laws of nature. So if that's going on, even as they may be as happy to see a Rubik's Cube or something that simple, but, you know, just because their brain might be a little slow, and I don't know that their brains are slow, doesn't mean that they don't have supernatural capabilities. I just think that it's kind of odd that the best Sasquatch stories I've ever heard that had, you know, several witnesses and things of that nature have always been around crazy supernatural activity.
I would love to see one again. I really would. I would love to see one again, and I would be absolutely thrilled to have that opportunity to get out in the forest. And a guy like Mark, who has been hunting my area and guiding our area for the last 25 years, 30 years or so, you know, he's never had that experience. So it would be great to see that happen as well, you know, and seeing him get that first impression as well. Because I could tell you this, when he saw that one footprint that I showed him, he was like, holy cow, what the hell is this? What the hell is this?
Yeah, it's not a regular animal. This isn't your average day nature animal. Yeah. I've never seen one, but I've always wondered how I would react if I did. I always wondered what I would do if I saw one. Because what did you do? Did you do a double take, or when you saw it, or you was like, dude, that's a Sasquatch? Did you question what you were seeing?
Not at all. I wanted to take it all in, and I wanted to just absolutely experience it all. I didn't think about my camera. I didn't think about anything, you know, rather than literally just worrying about trying to hold on to that moment and just love that moment for what it was. You know,
kind of like when you had the Northern Lights doing that outside your.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you try and grab a picture of it, but the picture just wouldn't do it justice.
Man, I'd love to see one. I'd love to see an alien. I'd love to see a Bigfoot. I would. I really would. You think I would have in Arkansas, but I don't get in the woods much as I should.
Well, it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. And, you know, it's something that that I would love to have everybody who wants to believe have that experience. I totally would. You know? I think it would be fantastic. You know, I'm going through from Twitter, Anthony, who's the tattoo artist here. I'm going through his art, his tattoos that he did on his Instagram. Dude is a good artist, man. Dude is a really good artist. If you're on Instagram, go to @AnthonyEye.Tattoos. IEYE. So Anthony EYE Tattoos. It's fantastic. I would totally get inked up by this guy. Totally get.
Where does he do tattoos at?
He's in Connecticut.
Okay.
He's in Connecticut and possibly New York City. This guy's great. Talented. He even has a UFO on here abducting a black cat.
Oh, that's cool.
That is fantastic. Fantastic.
I got a feeling that you're getting the itch for a tattoo. You're about to go get one, aren't you?
I've been getting the itch for a while. You know what I want to do is I actually want to do an entire arm sleeve of my experiences.
Oh yeah, that'd be rad.
From Carl up on the shoulder, with "We Own the Night" around him, to my Sasquatch experiences, to the UFO landing, to seeing the angel of death in my mother's eyes, to seeing Mrs. SOR's grandmother's spirit leave her body. I to the shadow man that I saw. Anthony works out of his home. So, yeah, he's got a very sterile studio in his home. That's where he works from. So if you're in Connecticut listening in, make sure you check out Anthony on Instagram if you're looking for a new tattoo. Anthony I-E-Y-E Tattoos. At Anthony E-Y-E Tattoos. So make sure you do that. Anthony, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, wow. This has flown by, man.
Yeah, it has. I'm glad that you let me come on here with you for an hour and hang out with you guys.
Me
I
too.
still feel guilty because I missed the birthday thing.
Oh, don't feel guilty, man. There's nothing to feel guilty about.
And how fun. That was so fun, though. Yeah. Anybody that hasn't listened to that should go in the archives and listen to that show. That was really cool.
The birthday show?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I love call-in shows like that.
We're gonna start doing that a little bit more. I had some fun with that. I really did have some fun with that. So we're gonna try and do that a little bit more. There's a few people talking on Twitter that said they would like to see the call-ins happen. Once
Spaced Out Saturdays, we do call-ins too. It's a call-in show through and through. But man, hearing you do it, man, you're a natural at it. You should do it more. Really.
So nervous about it. I don't know why. It just nerves me up. I think it takes me back to the Blog Talk Radio days where there was just a bunch of jerks on there who, I like to call them virgins because if you're out getting laid, you're not phoning Blog Talk Radio shows on a Friday or Saturday night or even a Wednesday night, trying to disrupt an online radio show. So there is no way that if you're doing that on any night of the week, there is no way in hell that you have had sex in your life. It's impossible. It's impossible.
There's some slapstick corners of the web out there. There's a few of them on Spreaker, too. I can tell you that. And you're thinking, what in the world? You got a point, man.
I believe that. I totally believe that. There is no way that someone is getting laid if they are trying to, bugger up an online radio show. If that's their dream in life, if that's their goal. So that's the only reason why I'm hesitant.
I got you.
That's the only reason why I'm hesitant.
You didn't catch none of that on your birthday show, but no. I get it. You sound like you've had some bad experiences.
Oh, wow. Wow, we actually got a $100 donation.
There you go.
Lita is apparently going to be, coming on the panel for one of the SOR roundtables. Thanks, Lita. Appreciate that. I know you're listening at Alien Babble on Twitter. Lots of love for you. Thank you so much, Joe, for being on the show.
You're welcome. Anytime, man.
You hold on. I'm going to wrap this thing up, my friend. In the background, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking us with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out every single night. I want to say a big thank you to Mike Johnson from Sasquatch Investigations of the Rockies for joining us for hours 1 and 2, and Joe Roop coming on to help me out for hour number 3. Really appreciate all of you taking the time to hang out with us. You made it a lot of fun. I'm out. I'm going to get my Zen, my Chi, and hopefully see my good friend Sasquatch. I got to come up with a name. We got Carl the Alien. That's what I'm going to do this weekend. I'm going to figure out a name for our Sasquatch friends around here. Joe Roop, Spaced Out Saturdays, tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern. And on Sundays, Elizabeth Anglin with Cosmic Passport, Spaced Out Sundays, same time, same place. We're hopefully going to get our website back up and running here by the end of the weekend. So bear with us. You know where to find us. Much love to everybody listening at home, in their cars, at work, tweeting out on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, joining us in the chat rooms in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Spreaker. You guys made an amazing week. Thank you for letting me talk about our GoFundMe / We Own the Night, because you're going to help me grow this show. Because together, my friends, it's all about love, it's all about peace, and we own the night. I will talk to you on Monday. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need you to take us home for the weekend. Have a good one. I'm out.